announce that May 6th through 12th is National Drinking Water Week. The city is celebrating that with a variety of activities, including book club and moving screenings at the library and after-school activities at the Ecology Center. All that information will be on our website shortly. However, tonight we'd like to announce the winners of our third grade art contest. The theme of this art contest was Got Water. Third graders are asked to submit an original piece of art showing how water is important to their lives. The city received 36 submissions, which were posted on the website, and residents could vote for their favorite. 426 votes were cast, and tonight we're going to award 2 of the winners. We're going to give them a plaque, and the winners will receive a 4-pack of beach tokens to the 2012 summer season and a reusable water bottle. The first award goes to the Mayor's Choice Award, goes to Chloe Cohn, a third grader at Lincoln School. Chloe, would you please come up? Congratulations.
And here you go. This is how we do it. You have to turn around, hold it this way so they can see the award. Smile.
And the next award goes to the art that received the most votes, and the winner is Mary Castini, a third grader from Martin Luther King Laboratory School.
Next, it is Public Service Week. Stand Against Racism Day will be April 27th, 2012. And Day of the Children, Day of the Books will be April 30th, 2012. And Municipal Clerks Week is April 29th to May 5th, 2012.
And Madam Mayor, Karen Lyons, the librarian, is here, director of the Evanston Public Library. Maybe she could say a word or two about
she is.
Hiding behind the pillar.
I was going to say, no, she's not, but she is definitely here. Yes, I'd love to have her say a few words. Alderman Grover, did you?
Just briefly, that the Stand Against Racism is actually an event that's happening on Friday. If I'm right, it's 12:35. Residents will be lining Ridge Avenue. 12:45, thank you, to 12:50 to line Ridge Avenue and Stand Against Racism altogether. So.
And we plan to have a full contingent outside this building.
Wonderful.
And we'll also have people outside the library standing at that time as well. I just want to thank you for introducing the proclamation. We're trying many different ways to reach different members of the community and recognize the importance of reading and books and literacy, and this is just the latest in our attempt to raise the profile of the library and some of the programs that we do, and I believe the mayor will be joining us to read it at the library.
If it's on my calendar, I will definitely be there.
All right, then I will see you on the 30th, and thank you. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Mayor's Summer Youth Employment Day went very well. We had, I think, 500 young people before the day was over, and I would like to thank all the employers, and at the next council meeting I will have a list of all of them and we'll read them. So my apologies for not having it tonight. The final report of the Ethics Committee, a report that Alderman Fisk requested, has just been released, absolving Alderman Fisk of all the charges that have been repeatedly raised at public comment for more than a year. I would like to take this opportunity to praise Alderman Fisk for working with the developer at Kendall to save so many trees and for doing what I think is extraordinary and saving 22 bushes and having them moved to other city parks. I think you've done a fabulous job, and I'm delighted that the Ethics Committee did what we all knew they would, and I'm glad you did the right thing and asked them for a ruling. Alderman Rainey has courageously and accurately defended her colleague, Alderman Fisk, and that was not only the right action to take, but when she defended Alderman Fisk, she also defended all the current and future public servants and asked that they be treated civilly, and that may be an incredibly important contribution to the life of this city to require that all our public servants be treated civilly. As for Alderman Grover, I'm not quite sure what to say about her offer to have coffee with a citizen. I think it was well meant, impossible, in my view, to misinterpret, although it was, and I think it was a terrific thing to do, and so thank you for doing that. Starting tonight, the issue of Kendall is over because the final report has been issued, and according to the City Council Rule 6.4, persons invited to address the council shall limit comments to include items within the jurisdiction of the council as determined by the mayor. Kendall and ethics charges related to Kendall were answered by the Board of Ethics. Those items are not within the council's jurisdiction at this time, nor is Alderman Grover's offer to have coffee with whomever she wishes to offer to have coffee with, and nor is Alderman Rainey's defense of a colleague. Those are not within the council jurisdiction, and we have listened to them for over a year, and any further comments on those issues will be ruled out of order by the mayor. City Manager, do you have any public announcements?
No, ma'am.
City Clerk, do you have communications for us?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Next is citizen comment. Thank you. For agenda items, Betty Esther. Non-agenda items, Junad Risky, Robert Janes, Padma Rayo.
Excuse me. My name is Betty Esther. I stay at 2031 Church Street, and was informed that item A7, ordinance 32-0-12, authorizing the city to execute a sign of real estate contract for the purchase of real estate property at 1223-1225 Chicago Avenue in Evanston. I know that this will be taken off the agenda and will not be heard or spoke of until May the 7th. As I will not be able to be here on May the 7th, I want to give my comments now. The people in the community is talking about this, and there is lots of money, figures floating around, $2 million, $1.5 million, and there are many questions that the community would love to have answered and to know about what's going on. One of the things they talk about, well, why come Trader Joe? Does the city have a contract with Trader Joe's? I don't know. One of the things I would like to know, which we have seen to be common to a lot of, is giving rebates or concession to companies and firms coming to Evanston, and wanted to know if any such rebates or concession given to Trader Joe's, how long will those concessions or rebate last? Since Trader Joe's will be bringing in one of the things that we need, which is sales tax revenue. So usually when there's sales tax revenue involved, rebates are given to the people to help them compensate for their expenses. The other thing, wanted to know, how long will it take for this parking lot that the city is proposing to build, recoup what it costs to make this parking lot? If Trader Joe's come, how long will it take to recoup it? If Trader Joe's decide not to build here, how long will it take to recoup the money that we put in to build this parking lot? At a meeting, it was stated that the residents thought around this said that would be good to have this parking lot because they need parking space. Everybody in Evanston needs parking space. I wanted to know, since it's going to be there, the neighborhood seems to want it, will the residents that surround this parking space, will they be given a special rate to let them park there and stuff? Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor?
City Manager?
Since Ms. Esther's not going to be here, maybe I can answer some of the questions very quickly, if that would be all right with you, Madam Mayor?
Yes, it is.
The dollar amount that we have been discussing with the developers of the Trader Joe's site is $2 million for the purchase of 2 properties that will be used for parking. So the city would purchase that property and it would be used as parking. It would not become property of anyone else. It would remain property of the city. There is no contract between the city and Trader Joe's. There is not a contract contemplated. There will be a parking agreement between the developer of the site, Terrico, and the city, and that parking agreement will come before the City Council, we believe, on May the 7th for approval. There are no rebates and concessions. We previously worked, I know you recall, several years ago at another site in the community for a Trader Joe's, and at that time there were agreements for a sales tax rebate. There is no agreement contemplated at this point for that. As far as how long to recoup the money, that's been a common question. Marty Lyons, our Assistant City Manager, will be here on the 7th with his usual raft of spreadsheets and projections, and we'll make sure you get a copy of that. It'll be made available before the meeting. We won't buy the property if they don't build it. We won't come. So that is moving. That will be moving forward, and we'll have again more details on that as well on the 7th. And then, as far as resident parking, we are still finalizing those terms. There'll be an agreement between the city and Terrico on that. That's an important issue, and those issues aren't finalized. One of the reasons we are not prepared to come back to the council is that those arrangements are not yet finalized. So our hope is that on May 7th, we will have all of these issues resolved. We'll be able to come to the council with 2 purchase agreements and 2 parking agreements. And that will all be on May 7th, and we'll be happy to make sure that you get that information prior to the council meeting.
Thank you.
Janaid Risky. Recently in Dixon, Illinois, the city's chief financial officer was accused of taking $30 million over a 5-year period. What caught my interest in the whole thing was, as they were interviewing a citizen, he basically made a comment that nobody could figure out what was going on with the funds, that there was a shell game. And before anyone jumps out of their seat here and says, I'm accusing the city council of taking money, I'm not. So that's not my issue. My issue is the issue of a shell game with our funds here for mostly political reasons of council members and others. The purpose of a shell game is to confuse everybody involved. I mean, things such as the $3 million that is continually taken out of the water fund, put into the general fund. This thing with the parking lot we just talked about, where will the money come from? How is it going to be transferred from the parking fund? And the issues of what surrounds the parking fund. And another thing, it's not an issue with me. Fund transfers are legitimate mechanisms of the city, but some of these things are clearly not really in the interest of the taxpayers. Tonight, you're going to talk about making the Ecology Center self-sufficient. But when we have all types of fund transfers here to basically support things like a wine and cheese bar, and basically, I mean, this is a trend here in economic development. We are giving too many private interests our money. I mean, the Ecology Center is a public building, as an example, or any other thing in town. These things that we're doing are private. When I hear we're giving somebody basically a renovated building, we're going to give them an apartment to live in, and we're going to buy bar fixtures, when for years we couldn't buy fixtures for the library for new shelving, sort of rubs me the wrong way as a taxpayer. Of course, we can use the issue that these funds are coming from the TIF funds, and that's always the case. But frankly, as we do this game, the shell game we do here with the funds, it's clearly funds are being moved all around. Someone told me tonight that I'm negative, but I guess my negativity really rests with the use of the money here and how this money is being used, and it's not being really used for the public interest, but for private interest. And really, with the city at $500 million in debt, there's really not a lot of money here for anything. And I think this council, the issue that I have is you're playing another shell game, and that's you told everybody this year we had a very small tax increase. We basically had an 8% property tax increase. So, not property tax, but total tax increase. And frankly, that's a shell game, too, that this council should not play again next year. I'd like to have the council honestly next year when it tells this budget comes out, tell the public what the true tax increase is and not hide it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Robert Janes. I live at the corner of Colfax and Sherman. I have been riding my bicycle a lot, and my wife and I do a lot of traveling together with our bicycles. And I would like to invite every one of you folks to come with us sometime and go down some of our city streets and see what the bicycle people have to contend with. Now, there's a lot of things that are irregular about the streets that probably are not of any concern of you when you're in a car. You just bounce over them and keep going. But there are a lot of ruts, there are potholes, there are things that bicyclists, I think, really have to fear, and particularly those that ride bicycles after dark and can't see them. Now, I think there's something on the city agenda for tonight about fixing the center strips in a lot of streets, and yes, that's important. But I think you folks have to make sure that when you do that, your inspectors are out to make sure it's good, not just adequate, but good. And I hope that you will consider that. But we've driven down, well, two streets come to mind. One is going from the Northwestern or the Metro station at Davis Street all the way down to the St. Francis Hospital on Elmwood Avenue. And if you ride a bicycle down there, you're dodging potholes and ruts and overbuilt replacements. And I think that's something that really shouldn't happen. You should be able to put the street back in order, or whoever takes it apart, put it back in order the way that it should be. Now, another good example, if you start at Sheridan Road and go all the way to the west end of Lincoln Street, there are numerous spots where they have taken the street apart and put it back together again, and particularly west of Haven School and east of McDaniel. You look and you can see the blacktop that's on there, but it's not smooth, and certainly it's a kind of a thing that could easily disrupt bicyclists if they're not being that careful. So I hope anything that you put in order to repair the streets, make sure that they come back the way they were, and not something that's additional blacktop on it just so that it'll settle in its place. Well, there's going to be more and more bicyclists, and we need to make sure that we have adequate facilities for them to ride their bicycles. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor. Sir, Mrs. Marty Lyons, the gentleman right there, if you could go out with him and kind of share some of the specific locations, I'd like to get back to you about that. Thank you.
Pod Morale, 2246 Sherman. My comments were approved by my attorney. If you have a problem with anything that I say, take it up with my attorney. We condemn this council's vote at Kendall to kill over 24 trees and endanger pedestrians with an hour
You're out
dumps
of
traffic.
order, and
You are engaging in content and viewpoint-based discrimination, which is unconstitutional.
Mrs. Ducray, it's your turn.
You cannot. Why are you skipping over my mother too? She signed up.
If you want to let your mother speak, give her a turn.
And why are you engaging in viewpoint-based discrimination?
Mrs. Ducray, thank you.
So, Madam Mayor, you're refusing to allow us to exercise our First Amendment right? Is that correct?
About freedom of speech. As an individual, as a person, I take this not lightly. There were many years that I could not speak and say what was on my mind. We have a First Amendment. I cause no disrespect to this council, no disrespect to anyone in this audience. But I believe in freedom of speech. Let us believe in freedom of speech. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Rainey, could we have the consent agenda?
So, Mayor, you are not allowing my mother to speak either? Based on the same unconstitutional...
I said that if you would like to let your mother speak, please let her speak.
Was there a press release about your findings and all those things? You just announced this minute and you shut us out. And that is how you operate, your mayoral thing? That is what I want to say. And furthermore, what questions were asked by this so-called ethics committee? It was a joke. When I was told it was a joke, it is a joke.
The
even
Ethics Committee is not
Now,
a joke. We
the
take
thing
the
is,
Ethics
there
Committee
was no press
seriously,
release.
and they are not here to
There
defend
is no
themselves.
press release. There is no previous information about it. You want to control, you want to impose your dictatorial rule over this little city the way you want. And here is something that was written in the Daily Northwestern, your failed leadership. All of you, listen carefully. In case you are clueless about the others thinking of you, here are some excerpts from the April 19, 2012 Daily Northwestern. Local politicians must make difficult decisions that affect diverse groups with disparate opinions. Their job as elected officials is to make those decisions as fairly as possible, taking into account all of the concerned parties. The city of Evanston has failed to live up to this responsibility, unquote. And here is a gem for the first ward member of yours. As a leader, she should recognize that this diversity is made up of many opinions and concerns, and silencing the ones that differ from hers is a glaring example of irresponsible leadership. This is written in
Alderman Rainey, could we please have the consent?
scheming to usurp the township, which is doing
Oh,
then you are doing. If you refuse to enforce the city code to protect the peace at Kendall, then why are you here? To amend the First Amendment, you are here to. Were answered. The questions we asked were never. And
meeting,
well, these are
which
the
would be
questions.
perfectly in order, by the
It would
way.
have taken a lot less time to just allow us to use our freedom of speech
Freedom of speech.
for the 3 minutes
And-
each,
and
instead of
what did
engaging in
Madam Dupree say?
unconstitutional conduct.
What did Madam?
Consent agenda. Would that be okay? Because we want to be responsible and do the city business. There are
Well,
people
if you
here.
wanted to do the city business, you should do.
To the City Council meeting of April 10, 2012. The Administration Committee and Public Works Committee met tonight and asked your approval of the city payroll through April 8 in the amount of $2,626,600.56. City bills through April 24 in the amount of $1,675,266. Committee requests council approval to authorize the city manager to execute a contract for the 2012 sewer route treatment to Municipal Sales, Inc. in the amount of $33,706.15. The city council requests the city council authorize the city manager to execute a contract for the purchase of fire hydrants with HD Supply Waterworks in the amount of $62,010. Excuse me, could you take your interview outside, please? I'm unable to concentrate.
Wow, you've got a short attention span in that case.
I do. I'm an alderman, so we have short attention. The Evanston City Council is asked to authorize the city manager to execute a contract for the purchase of 250 trees and planting services for 100 of those trees from the Suburban Tree Consortium in the amount of $61,129. Funding for these purchases is provided by an Emerald Ash Borer grant for urban forest restoration in the amount of $16,115 and by the Parks and Forestry Division account. Next, we request your approval to authorize the manager to execute a contract for renewal of the 2012 Summer Food Service Program Agreement with Open Kitchens, Inc. in the not-to-exceed amount of $2, I don't know, I'm just going to say $2.39 per lunch, or an estimated budget total of $86,500. This is a reimbursement program, and the total amount of reimbursement to the city is dependent upon the number of lunches served. We ask your approval also for payment of the 2012 Fire and Public Works Training membership fees in the amount of $26,042 to Northwestern Illinois Public Safety Training Academy. Funding for membership is provided by Fire Department account and budget of $38,900 for both the Fire and Public Works Department. We ask your approval for the authorization to the city manager to execute renewal of the annual single-source service agreement with Motorola in the amount of $57,818.07. The agreement is effective from April 1, 2012 through December 31, 2012. Funding will be provided by the Emergency Telephone System account. We ask your approval also to authorize purchase of 20 replacement vehicles for the various departments in the amount of $441,689.54 from Curry Motors. We ask your approval also of for the city manager to execute a contract for the 2012 water main replacement and capital improvement fund street resurfacing project with Glenbrook Excavating and Contract, Inc. in the amount of $2,997,045.65. Funding will be provided by the Water Fund, the Sewer Fund, and the Capital Improvement Street Resurfacing Fund. Next, we ask your approval of a one-year contract extension for the purchase of 500 tons of modified hot mix asphalt at a cost of $52 per ton and 300 tons of modified hot mix binder in the amount of $44 per ton to Arrow Road Construction, doing business as Healy Asphalt. Next, we ask your approval of a contract extension with Municipal Partnering Committee to award the 2012 crack sealing contract to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, North Suburban Asphalt Maintenance, in the amount of $50,000. The council is asked to approve Resolution 34R12, which authorizes the city manager to sign the local agency agreement for the Illinois Department of Transportation and a Phase 2 Design Engineering Services Agreement with Alfred Benish and Company for federal participation for the Bridge Street Bridge Phase 2 engineering contract. The amount of $248,806, for which the city will be reimbursed $199,044 by IDOT. The committee asks your approval for introduction of Ordinance 40012, which amends fees for one-day liquor licenses. Approval of the proposed ordinance would increase fees for all one-day liquor license classifications by 50%. This is included in the city's approved 2012 budget. It's for introduction, but will be referred back to the committee. Let's see. Just hold on one second. Having a little trouble here. Okay. Next, Ordinance 46012. We recommend approval of Ordinance 46012, amending the minimum fines for general C-ticket administrative adjudication violations, which are non-parking ordinance violations. Approval would increase the minimum penalty for general C-ticket administrative adjudication fines by $10. This also was included in the city's approved 2012 budget. Next, item A7 has been removed from the agenda and will be addressed by the committee chair. Under Planning and Development, the committee and staff recommend adoption of Resolution 35R12, which reserves the city's right to issue $7,076,170 in tax-exempt bonds under the bond volume cap allocation. By filing the resolution, the city prevents the state of Illinois from using Evanston's bond volume cap throughout Illinois for other eligible purposes. Next is, Ordinance 42012, which is also for introduction. The Zoning Board of Appeals, City Staff, and Planning and Development recommend the adoption of this ordinance, granting a special use permit for the operation of a commercial indoor recreation facility at 2126 Ashland. This is complied with all zoning requirements and meets all the standards of a special use for this district. Next, P3, Plan Commission and city staff recommend the adoption, along with Planning and Development, of introduction of Ordinance 36012, granting plan development approval, a special use permit for the proposed drive-through replacing the existing drive-through, and approval of a major variation for the proposed new Walgreens at 635 Chicago Avenue. Next is Ordinance 38012, is also for introduction. Okay, this is going to be introduced. I think I'm going to take this off and let the committee chair address this. This has to do with bed and breakfast establishments. Next, under Human Services Committee. Human Services Committee and staff recommend adoption of Resolution 29R12, accepting the Evanston Environmental Association's the Evanston Ecology Center, a roadmap to financial self-reliance, and committing to its implementation. This is for action tonight. Under appointments, the mayor is requesting reappointments to Commission on Aging, Wayne Heimbach and Barbara Roberts, Human Relations Commission, Lori Eckert, and Plan Commission, Richard Scher. With that, Madam Mayor, I move the consent agenda.
Second.
Thank you, Alderman Rainey. It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
Alderman Fisk.
Aye.
Alderman Braithwaite.
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Holmes.
Aye.
Alderman Tindem. Aye. Alderman Grover.
Aye. Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
8-0.
8-0, the consent agenda passes. Alderman Holmes, are you in charge of everything tonight?
Yes, ma'am. There's no report for Administration and Public Works, Madam Mayor. But I do have a report for Planning and Developments. P4.
Alderman Holmes.
I'm sorry, item A7.
Wait a minute. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I missed that. I'm sorry. Ordinance 320-12, authorizing the city manager to execute an assignment of real estate contracts for the purchase of real property at 1225 Chicago Avenue. Move approval. Madam Mayor, this is going to be taken off of the agenda until May 7th. So we will be discussing that on May 7th. Okay.
And if I may, Madam Mayor, just as an update for the rest of the council, our plan for special meetings between now and your next regular meeting, which is on May the 14th, we're still going to be asking you to come together next Monday at 6 p.m. to deal with electric aggregation. We anticipate being concluded with the discussions regarding the Trader Joe's properties, and we'll be asking for a meeting on May the 7th, likely in lieu of a Rules Committee meeting that evening. And if for some reason electric aggregation does not move forward on the 30th, we would also have that on the 7th as well. So again, we ask tonight that you continue this item. We're planning a 6 o'clock meeting on the 30th for electric aggregation, followed by the special meeting of the Economic Development Committee, and then May 7th probably, we've not set the time yet. We also have Human Services that evening, so we'll get back to you.
That'll probably be in lieu of Rules Committee?
I believe it will likely be.
So that would be
rules.
6 o'clock.
So it would likely be 6 o'clock. So thank you, Alderman Holmes.
Madam Mayor, then for the Planning and Development, P4, Ordinance 38-0-12, amending various portions of the city code relating to bread and breakfast establishment. Is there a motion? I would move. Is there a second? All right. The committee voted to hold this in committee for various reasons. One is the issue of distance, parking, and special events, and getting a comparison of what's going on in other communities. So at our next meeting, regular council meeting, I believe it will be, we will have those information back from the staff. We're asking for a definition of special events so that we can determine what that really means. and also looking at a distance of 900 to 1,000 feet in terms of having bread and breakfasts have that kind of limitation on them, and looking at, I think Mr. Griffin said that we have some charts of other communities and what's going on with them for bread and breakfasts. So we're holding it in committee for that.
Thank you, Alderman Holmes.
That concludes the report.
Thank you, Alderman. And I believe we are at call of the wards. Begins with Alderman Rainey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just want to make a couple of comments. The wine bar seems to be a very popular topic of conversation, and I can't think of anything better to talk about than wine, bars, and cheese and food. However, I want to clarify something. Nobody is giving anybody anything here. The apartment that we are readying is being prepared so that the people who have signed a lease can pay some rent. And that will begin the day they sign the lease and the day they move in. So we bought the building in question because it was such a dump, and it has to get renovated. And included in the cost, the sale price of that building, after 3 years, when the group that have signed the agreement to purchase the building purchase it, the price of that renovation is going to be right in that sales price. So anything else is a loan, so nobody's getting anything, nothing. The Howard Street's getting a wine bar, and that's a good thing. Here's what we are getting. I just want to comment for a moment about Best Buy. Best Buy on Howard Street, as you know, could have been considered for closing, and when the final list of 50 came out, I just dreaded reading it, but there it was, not on the list. So Best Buy stayed, and that shopping center has been a productive, profitable shopping center since, 1993, 94, and it is in a TIF. Well, we went to visit Best Buy, and members of the economic development staff and Devon Woodard and I went to see the general manager there, whose name is Steve Smith. And he should be congratulated because his store is one of the best producing store in the system. I mean, it's of his size and type of location. He's doing great, and we are congratulating him for that. We asked him, as a profitable business in a Howard Street TIF, to see if he could make a contribution to the not-so-profitable Howard Street TIF, and that is the Ridge Howard TIF. And we explained to him that we bought this building, and we are renovating it for low and moderate income residents. And the one interesting thing, and we're using the $130,000 from the parking lot at Howard in Chicago that really didn't need that much money, but that HUD gave us. So we're renovating 2 residential units with that money. But HUD doesn't allow you to buy appliances for rental property. So we asked him if he could help with that. And I know this is a long story, but it's such a good one. So we asked him, what could he do to help us? And he said, absolutely, I'm so excited that you've come. I want to participate in the community. It never occurred to me to reach out to you, but I'm so glad you're here. He has donated, on behalf of Best Buy, 2 top-of-the-line refrigerator freezers. He has donated, I would say, really close to top of the line, 2 gas stoves. He has donated, top of the line, 2 vented microwaves. And he said, what about dishwashers? He has donated 2 top-of-the-line dishwashers. He is going to deliver these. He is going to install these. And he said to us when we left I just want to thank you for coming here and asking me for this. And I thought maybe we could do a parade down Howard Street or something on his behalf. But the mayor wrote a wonderful letter thanking him, and we will, the day that they're installed or something, we'll do something special. But it was just amazing how generous he was. We need a washer and dryer, but we thought enough was enough. Anyway, so it was just a wonderful thing. And Devon, he really took the lead in this, and we just followed up and went over, and as Wally said, we showed him the love, and he just came forth with this wonderful help for us. So the community is really reaching out, and it's just a great thing. So I just wanted you all to know about that. Right?
I hope you will be making other visits soon.
Well, I was thinking we could go to Cottage Jewelry.
Alderman Fisk, try to top that.
I can't top that. That's really amazing. I think we should send Alderman Rainey out with her handout to everyone. That's fabulous. I want to make two references. One, I think both of them actually to Human Services. I've had a number of inquiries about why our library board is not elected, and can we move in that direction? I actually don't know the answer to that, so I'm going to refer it to Human Services, where I think that's the appropriate place for it. The other reference to Human Services is to ask the police department what we can do as a city to encourage correct bicycle operation, especially in the downtown. I've received a number of concerns of people who do not feel safe because bicycles are going the wrong direction and not stopping at stoplights and things like that. And I'm excited that we're opening up our downtown to more cyclists. But I do think that we need to just have a report from the police department about, is there anything else that we might be doing as a city to encourage people to ride more responsibly? Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Braithwaite.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First, I want to wish a happy belated birthday to Alderman Holmes. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Delorme Holmes. Happy birthday to you. You're welcome. You're welcome. This past weekend, I had an opportunity to spend a lot of time with her. First, we were at the Mayor's Summer Youth Employment Program, so very impressive. I think this year we had over 500 students that attended, and talk about talent that we have in the town. I mean, we hear so many bad stories sometimes, but it was just really refreshing to see all of our students, a large number of them from Evanston Township, well-dressed, well-behaved, and hungry for jobs. So that was a good experience. In addition to that, we had a neighborhood meeting with some neighbors on the 17 and 1800 block of Asbury dealing with those issues. And then Ashland, pardon me. And then celebrated 118 years of service to the community of Mount Zion Church. So congratulations to all the members of Mount Zion Church. And then for an announcement this Sunday, April 29th, I'll be in a meeting with neighbors over at Perla Cafe. The meeting is going to be co-hosted by Leadership Evanston just to discuss some visioning for the Evanston Plaza. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Nguyen.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to announce a Third Ward Town Hall meeting. It will be Thursday, May 3rd, but not at our regular meeting spot. Lincoln School is under construction, so there is no place to meet there right now. It'll be very nice when they're finished. So we are meeting at St. Luke's Episcopal Church on Hinman Avenue. That's Thursday, May 3rd from 7 to 8:30. I'd also like to give an update and make some comments about the viaduct construction that's going on along Chicago Avenue. Many of you may be driving along Chicago Avenue past the Jewel parking lot. You'll see one of the spans that will be lifted up and moved over and placed down in a rather impressive engineering feat. When that happens, which will be at the end of June, the CTA is moving two of these enormous 90-foot steel spans in. the same weekend, the city will be having parties and events, and I wanted to let everyone know to think towards that and come on out because it's going to be a really fun event. So watch on the city's calendar, and that will be something to really celebrate. 2 viaducts in one night. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Wilson?
But will that be like late at night, like on Main? Yeah.
No, it's going to be at the end of June. I'm not certain of the date. I just wanted to give people a heads up. Yes, what they do is they'll be shutting down the Purple Line for the weekend, but they'll provide bus shuttle service. And then for 48 hours, they work continuously. And they bring in huge lights that light it up just like daytime.
Like we did at Davis.
Yeah, exactly. And people came out at Main and at Davis, and it's a lot of fun.
I do want to remind everyone that street cleaning has started. It's easy to forget, but I saw a lot of little orange envelopes on cars the past couple of weeks. And bulk trash pickup, did we mention that earlier? Bulk trash pickup starts this Friday and runs through May, so everyone be attuned to that. And there are just, I don't even know where to start the list, but keep an eye on the city website and the community websites. There are a lot of great things going on in Evanston, kids' sports, a number of the activities mentioned earlier. And enjoy this time of year. It's an exciting time.
Thank you. Alderman Holmes?
No report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Alderman Tandem?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We are quickly approaching the second citywide photo day entitled Day in the Life of Evanston, a Photo Story Part 2. This will be to document by residents anything that you think is all about Evanston, all on the same day, May 5th. Hopefully it will still be spring. And if you'd like more information, go to the city calendar or look for the May 5th entries, and it will link you to the page with appropriate information as far as the technical details and the copyright information. So looking forward to putting together another great book of great Evanston images and ultimately combining them all together in one single very nice souvenir of Evanston. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Grover?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a few things. This week is TV Tune-Out Week for all of you who have someone connected to the school. So find a bike to ride, find a dog to walk, find a softball to throw, find a tree to climb, but turn off the TV, please, this week.
Have a dog you could walk.
And the mayor has a dog that you can walk. This week also begins the Big Ten men's tennis tournament right here in Evanston. First time, I think, since 2003. All of the Big Ten men's tennis teams will be here in Evanston playing on Sheridan Road. It's free, so drop by and watch a little high-quality Division I men's tennis. I think it begins Friday, maybe Thursday. It's on NU Athletics' website. I think it's nusports.com. And lastly, on Friday, that is April 27th, the Office Depot is having its grand reopening. I don't know if you recall that the Office Depot used to have this really hideous parking structure on the north end of the building, and the company has invested almost $1 million, I think upwards of $1 million, to renovate the building, to give it a new facade. The signs are mostly accommodating to our signs ordinance, close. The interior is looking a lot better. So they're having events between 11 and 4 on Friday at the Office Depot to celebrate the new look and new attitude there. So thank you for Office Depot for making those improvements. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Grover. Alderman Wilson, do you have a motion?
I do. Pursuant to 5 Illinois compiled statutes 120/2A, I move that the City Council convene into executive session to discuss agenda items regarding collective bargaining, real estate litigation, and minutes. These agenda items are permitted subjects to be considered in executive session and are enumerated exceptions under the Open Meetings Act. These exceptions are 5 ILCS 120/2A, C2, C5, C6, C11, and C21.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.